Hello, everyone. If you're seeing this part of the show, you might want to fast forward, let's say 3 minutes, and we'll get started. Cindy and Mike, part-time permies.
Hello.
He's not small. He's just sitting on a smaller chair, and he's behind us. The boys coming in. They tried to. They were going to sleep outside. What happened?
We're not scared.
I didn't say you were scared.
It's so cramped. It's too cramped.
Oh, it's cramped.
We don't have bigger.
It's cramped.
You gotta stay warm. That way, that's when it's
Okay.
cramped. Stay warm.
Yes.
Okay.
Too cramped.
Is there any spiders or ticks or chiggers or mice, rats, cats?
There are rats.
Rats.
Laura was going crazy about the rats.
She's good at that.
Okay, go back and be quiet. Do not disrupt Lily. Watch her, listen to her audiobook, okay? Because she was in here without you. She was probably looking forward to that. Uh-oh, Mike left the sink running. For those that you don't know, Mike and Cindy, part-time permies, has been down here to do a weekend workshop. They're a little crazy for doing a 2-day workshop and then jumping on a webinar. And then jumping on another webinar at 9.
We have our
Your
webinar at
so
9.
that's going to be crazy.
Yep.
Okay, let's get going. Let me see. Let me pull you guys up over here so we can see your chat. Boy, here's the chat. Okay, let's get going. Let me see. Okay, you can help me keep up with the chats. Cindy.
Try to do
Cindy's
that.
going to be my assistant tonight. The beautiful one is worn out. You going to eat a snack and go to bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just finished my apple.
All right.
Bed.
Come say hey. Bunch of people on. All the cool people. Mark
All the
B,
cool people.
Claire Burke, Chelsea, Linda, all the cool people. Ken.
Wow. Yeah,
So you guys need to know this. You come to every webinar, and you come in and you're part-time permies.
Yep.
That's your handle.
Yep.
Well, here they are.
Yep.
Members
So,
sitting right
faces.
here.
You're not logged in.
No, I'm not like
she
right
often, she often helps me. Oh, Terry's here. Terry, we missed you at the workshop, buddy. You know Terry? Do you know any of these people?
I've chatted with a number of them
Okay,
in
so
the chat room.
at 9 o'clock, she's going to start her show.
Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit on her show for a little bit, too. So we're going to get through this tonight rather quickly. Probably wrapping her up around 9:50. Respect your time.
8:50.
Oh, 8:50. Yeah. Wow, 8:50. I'm
We go on
ambitious.
at 9.
Okay. She goes on at 9. Let's get right in with your questions. Hello from Michigan, Crystal says. Oh,
We're Michigan.
Hi.
you guys know Crystal.
Crystal.
You are from
We
Michigan.
don't.
Crystal actually does follow us. Yes, she does follow us. I think on Facebook and other places too.
Okay.
So neighbors from West Michigan.
I'm going to grab this question real quick, and then we'll go back to the chat. Is Johnny is a seed/tool company, going to be one of the companies that is going to give people a discount. So for those of you members don't know, I'm lining up several companies. One includes Johnny Seeds, Premier One Fencing, Sotry Seeds, Layman's, and hopefully Never Seen Farm Tools. And we're getting discounts from them for members only, just you guys. It's going to be a nice perk for you, help you pay and offset your member costs. Good night. And Johnny Seeds they're offering free shipping on orders over 50. So, I mean, it's something. I mean, it's better than nothing. So, and you will save some money on shipping, especially if you're ordering something heavy like silage tarps or road cover. Shipping can be like over $150. So that could be a big deal. So put together a big order. Wait on that. That'll probably come out by the end of the month. Do you all worry? Let me read this one more question. Cindy can't read the comments right now. We'll flip in between the questions and the comments. Let me see if I can't print this out, guys, and then I can.
Then you can read from the paper.
Watch
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. So, do you worry about this? Is a great question. You and I talked about it today. I'm gonna have to zoom through it though.
Yeah.
Do you worry about bacteria contamination of your vegetables, lettuce from chicken manure in your garden? We're getting a lot of that. Do you worry about that with pigs planting right after them? My 4 chickens have access to my raised garden beds right now. Since it's winter, this is why I'm asking. So,
Yeah, we were talking
here
about
comes the notes. So, one, don't plant in an icing layer of manure. Oftentimes, if we move our chickens out and the coop has been there, there's a lot of manure under there. Well, we spread that out, so we're not planting into a cake of manure. And with chickens, the thing that you're probably fearing is E. coli or salmonella. Well, one, that's going to be very rare in a backyard poultry, but it's possible. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's not possible. For those of you concerned with that, ask Mr. Google Pants for your veterinary diagnostic laboratory. You probably can't remember all that. I'm going to put these show notes in the laboratory. I'm going to put the, see, we've been had a big 2 days. I'm going to put these show notes in the show description.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go back. Okay, Cindy's going to man the live chat. So you just go get your manure tested, and you'll see if it has E. coli or salmonella. If it does, you don't want to plant food right in there, right after them. You want to give it the U.S. government, for people selling food, makes people wait 120 days before they plant behind edible produce. You got to know that bacteria, though, isn't absorbed by the plant. You're only going to get sick if somehow an infected manure ends up on the plant and you eat that.
Yeah.
And then you get sick. So washing, making a good point to wash. And I'm going to let you jump here in a minute, Cindy. And you could consider if you're so worried about it, you could consider plants that you don't eat the outside. Pumpkins, melons, or plants that the fruit is higher up, like tomatoes, it doesn't touch the ground. Or plants that take longer, like maybe you don't want to do spinach because it's only 45 days and it's super low to the ground and it's touching the ground. But I'm always amazed at how soon after we move them, there's no sign of manure.
Yeah, it
After
does
we've
degrade
raked
fast.
it and gone through it. And if we're transplanting plants and there's a holy chicken spot right there, we'll move it to the side. Okay, throw it into the field. For the pigs, we're planting food behind the pigs. We actually go in and get their manure and compost it or throw it on the cow pasture, just to be extra careful. And I don't think the animals are necessarily culprits. I think people may overlook the possibility of you cats or dogs getting in the garden and pooping there too. There's a danger there too. Wild birds, wild animals. And I would say grow at your own risk. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a health professional. You're responsible for yourself and your own research. I can't be the definitive answer for you. And yes, Chelsea, pigs do poop in one place. It's handy. They poop in the one corner. Even when we move our fence every 2 weeks, they end up pooping in the same corner.
Huh.
We pick up they're clean. They don't want to poop where they eat. Pick up their
Sure.
poop and get it out of there. You got anything you want to add to this?
Mainly the same thing. Time gap is a big one, as far as like watching what you're planting there. If there's obvious poop in that area, mulching it. If you're worried about it being too hot. As far as too much nitrogen for your plants, that's another concern. Are you going to burn out your plants? But if you have a good nitrogen carbon
that's a good
balance, that should help. So having good mulch helps that too. There's a combination of things. Just watching what you're planting. If you're eating things that are coming straight out of the ground, you might want to make sure that there's a time gap between planting it. But if you're eating things that take time to grow before you eat it, or like you're saying, it's something that has a shell on it that you're not going to eat, or something that is off the ground, like tomatoes and peppers, you're going to pick.
Yeah.
Eggplants, things like that, you're going to pick.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It's using
If you're
common
really
sense.
concerned, you can always hot compost, which kind of defeats letting them run
Yes.
too much, but you can hot compost and then bring it back into your garden.
Yeah.
If you have a big concern.
And
Good
so
point.
Mark just pointed that out too. You can hot compost. It will kill the bacteria as well. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. And seeds, if there's any seeds in the manure.
How do you balance being alpha to a large livestock without making them feel threatened? It seems like a delicate balance with Flossie. It is, and I'll say, I always give them their space that I'm comfortable with. It may not look like that in the movies, but like that last movie we put out where I was training Flossie, that was actually a 3-hour process. Got down to 10 minutes. So there was a lot of time in between those
Right.
different cuts where I was just rearranging things or taking a break or whatnot. And so more boldness gets the job done. I mean, we laugh about this one cowboy that came out here and jumped in a stall to herd a bull into a trailer, and the bull was like stud muffin, wasn't handled, and the cowboy went in there. I mean, boldness is going to get the job done faster, but it's more dangerous. So you take a risk. Less boldness is going to get the job done slower, but it's less risky. So I just say go at it at your comfort pace, and sense the animal too. You know, we would take a break if Flossie was. If I was sensing that she was really in a dire, stressful situation. Okay, you guys keep the chats coming if you have any questions.
There's another question
where?
about, back at the last, related to the last question, I think, does cooking the food help or being on deep mulch help? With, I think, the
Salmonella and E. coli are killed very rapidly under heat.
Yeah.
If you thoroughly cook something.
So
That's
there you
You're
go.
only dealing all these issues with my eggs, my produce, all these recalls. It's only raw or semi-raw product.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So do we even have to worry about it if we're cooking the veg?
Botulism is different. Certain things are toxins in it.
Okay.
If you have a toxin, you can't make it go away. If you have heavy metal or contamination in the soil, but E. coli, salmonella, and a couple other things, cooking. That's why it always says fully cooked if you're 165,
Okay.
if you're concerned about it. Gone, no problem.
Yeah.
All that recalled lettuce, if you were to cook it and put it in soup, not a problem.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Chef Mike, professional chef Mike from Part Time Permies. I love all your creative feed ideas. Can any of them be used with meat birds? I know they're still young, but I wonder if things like worms, black soldier fly larvae, or growing extra greens for them might help bring down the feed costs even more. So with meat chickens, if you're raising Cornish cross, I've never messed with mixing my own feed or supplementing for them in a different way or feeding them in a different way. I'm not saying that can't be done. I'm just 2 years into Cornish cross. With a heritage breed, I totally raised 30-ish chickens, fed them for the first 2 weeks, commercial grain, all they wanted for the first 2 weeks, and then gradually over time, over 2 months, fed 2 bags of feed. That's it. And raised those chickens all the way to 16 weeks, and they totally free ranged. I moved it was my original chickshaw, like not even anything you guys have seen, just like something crazy, bike wheels on pallets, and we moved them around, and we raised organic. It ended up costing like $1.75 a pound. So with traditional birds, I think you're going to have a little more luck because I trust them a little more because they forage better. They go about their business. But on the tour, we met a lady named Sonia in Wyoming. I even texted her today because she raised Cornish cross on basically what she can get. She grinds it. When we were there, she only had hay, wheat, and corn, and she ground that up, and that's all she fed them. Now, they didn't grow as fast as the regular Cornish cross, so she waited until they were 12 to 14 weeks old. That was their ration. They didn't grow too fast like they would have if they were on commercial feed. And I texted her today, are they going to be tougher, though? Because they are Cornish cross. And no, she hasn't found them to be tougher, so it's
Question on the original forage ones, what breed were they?
Black Australorp.
Okay.
Good, Black Australorp. And you going so
Thanks.
that said, I think if you had a few enough chickens and black soldier fly, that's great. Now they'll only eat so many greens. I think they could get. My old permaculture teacher told me if a chicken was allowed, they would eat 75% of their diet animal protein. That's not the case with veggies with growth anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like they're only going to get 20% of their diet from greens, whether it's grass, whether it's what was the thing you wanted to feed them?
Reading the question.
Any kind of greens. So
Our chickens, we have them free ranged and on grain. They eat the grain, they pick for bugs, they scratch. They don't eat a lot of the grass. Our geese really want the grass. They
That's
don't
right.
really go
Grass-
for the grain unless they have to.
I think you could get better away with it with duck or goose, don't you think?
Yeah.
But they eat a lot. So
They eat a lot of
you need a
grass.
lot
They'll-
of-
They-
you need a lot of grass. And
They are
greens.
lawnmowers.
Well, they do hay.
I
They,
don't know.
I
Do you
don't
do
know.
hay on
I'd have to
pizza?
try
I
that.
want you guys to try
We
Yeah.
don't have cattle, so
Okay.
we don't really have
I hang around
usually.
that often, but yeah, we only have the small
Okay.
animals.
Do you still like the idea of fermented feed? I know y'all soaked the sea monsters feed, but didn't. But why? But didn't seem to let it go all the way to ferment. Is this a logistics problem? Yes, it's a logistics problem with the sea monsters. For us, we have 75 chickens. That amounts to towards the end of it, they're eating 2 buckets, 2 5-gallon buckets a day, and so our meat shaw will hold, and it's only reasonable to put two food grade buckets on there, and then our container bucket, and you dump those buckets out, you fill them back up with dry feed, and fill them over water. And soaking breaks down the enteronutrients. You don't get the added benefit of the ferment, but it's fine. The sea monsters are living till they're 8 weeks old, but if you can do it, I mean, it will add a level.
I just ran across a study accidentally,
Yeah.
and it says whole grain you only get like 25 or 50% of the nutrients. If you crack it, you get like 75-ish.
Yeah.
If you ferment it, you get even more. And if you can
Oh,
mill
really?
it or pelletize it, and that just has to do with the physics of getting it small. Now,
Yeah.
Break it down
fermentation
for
helps it also break down, helps the digestibility. But any way you can get it smaller and still get it in them, they're going to
Helps them absorb
digest.
it.
They're going to eat more of it, and less comes out not used.
Ooh, I
that
like
was an
that.
official study. It has
So ferments make it even smaller. So it's even going to be a little more efficient. With
Well, you
ferment.
could ferment any one of those stages. The smaller you go. Now, if you get pelletized and
Yeah.
ferment, it's really going to be a
It's-
sludge. I don't know if they're going to eat
Yeah,
that.
that's weird.
I think that's a bad idea. But
Yeah.
make it
Well,
small.
that
though.
actually answers somebody else's question, and I'll answer it now since we're on it. Talking about soaking pelletized stuff or fermenting pelletized stuff. Somebody wanted to do that with alfalfa pellets to get the probiotic. But I don't, honestly, I think it would turn too sludgy, and I don't think the cow would. I don't think it would be as palatable. It would be super hard to strain
Yeah.
because it wouldn't be.
Well, and your nutrients are in the liquid too, so
Yeah.
you want them to consume the liquid, not just the solid.
Some of each.
Plus, if it gets hot, some of these grain ferments, if you don't have a good culture, that's where you have a possibility. If you get a strain of E. coli salmonella, you could propagate it in
Yeah.
your ferment. Good ferment's going to be clean.
Yeah,
If
no,
you
it's
don't know, it's a little more risky.
Yeah,
Part
you
of the
could
reason
try
why
it,
you,
Chelsea, and let us know what
Yeah.
happens.
that's part of the reason why you make sure that it's completely covered in water. Because some of those
Yeah.
need that exposure to air to grow, other than botulism.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think your compost rotation system that y'all used to do would work if you were undercover, not getting rained on? What if it smells indoors? So compost, or would it smell indoors? So compost should not smell. Actually, if it smells, you probably have more nitrogen than carbon. So what you would need to do is actually turn your pile. Actually, take it from where it is, put it just one step over, just one pitchfork at a time, but then add some carbon back in there as you mix it back in. It could also be too wet. If it's too wet, turn your tile, and I guess if it's too wet, you're just gonna have to add more carbon, right?
Sawdust carbon's
Yeah.
going to dry it up. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
it-
spread it out. But
So I bet you the
Carbon.
the carbon material is going to help dry it and add more carbon.
Yep.
So it's doing double duty on it.
if it's too dry, you got to
when-
tarp it and add liquid. But
That I'm
one's not
saying, when's the best time? What's the best way to ferment?
feed.
So if you have a small flock, you put it in a bucket, you fill it up with water, and it needs to sit, and you cover it up with water so it stays anaerobic, and enough. I say at least 4 inches or more, depending on how
Over
much
the-
grain you have
over
over
the
the top
grain,
of the grain.
yeah.
So that, because some of that grain soaks it in,
Yeah.
and then you want some water left, and you could, if say you just have a strainer, and that's all you need to get out for your chickens. Well, that makes it easy. You just strain it out, feed it to your chickens, put a little more dry feed back in there, and stir it around.
We do. I mean, we have about 30 chickens.
Yep.
Give or take. And we do 3 buckets of measured amounts, and
Yeah.
then fill above that grain amount
Yeah.
a few inches
one a day.
with water, and then I take 1 bucket out each day. So each one,
Okay.
I'm rotating through them. I'll refill the bucket I took out, put it back in line.
3-day fermented.
That's
Three days
a
from-
that's a way to do it with more chickens.
Yeah, more
3
chicken,
days
And you
bigger
fermented.
farms.
could scale that up theoretically. I mean, if I'm on a 2-bucket system at the end of my Corners Cross, if I really wanted to ferment it, I would just have 6 buckets.
Summertime, as it gets hot, you speed everything up. So winter, you might do a
Yep.
3-day ferment. When you're getting into hot, when you're in a hot area,
Yep.
It might go
bring
faster.
it down to 2 days.
And you could
You've
speed
done
it
the
up
same
by
work.
dropping some. Well, couldn't you leave some of the water in there?
You don't clean the bucket all the way. You just rinse it
Yeah,
out.
leave
and
some of
you
the water in
basically
there.
Culture it. Hopefully, it's good stuff. So you
Culture.
re-inoculate.
Yeah.
You backwash it like making yogurt.
To be sure, you could put some. If you have fermented pickles or sauerkraut, you can put some of that
Add
juice in
that,
there
Yep.
to speed it up.
Yep. Just a little bit.
So compost shouldn't smell, and then if you want to compost in the winter at Vermont Composting, he's composting all through the winter. I think the big trick in the winter, and many of his piles are not covered. Most of them are not. Is having a pile big enough. Carl told me the minimum pile you want to be able to sustainably begin to feed chickens on a homestead level, 100% from compost, 9 cubic yards.
That's 2 dump.
And that's
dump
for like
trucks.
just a couple dozen of chickens.
2 average dump truck loads.
Yeah.
It's not 9-10 cubic
Yeah,
yards.
it's
That's a
huge.
lot.
It's 3. Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You need a farm.
Ask Mr. Google Pants how big that is. So I got to where I've done 1 pallet, 3 cubic yards, which is 4 pallets filling it up. Do 2 pallets on one side, 2 pallets on another side, 1 pallet on each end. And I don't know how many cubic yards that is. Is that actually 6?
Roughly.
Okay, that heated up nice. Now that was the summer,
It's all about mass.
but I imagine if you did 3 pallets long, that make 9?
3 would be 9. 2 by
Or would we have to go 3?
3 by 3 is
3 by 3
9.
by-
That's a
It would have to
that's
be.
a good
That
pile.
would be crazy. No, that's
The only
probably
thing you gotta
not.
watch is over.
capable.
You get too hot and you get a kill. Get over
Yeah.
180. But even in the winter, if you get it going, it'll go.
Yeah.
well,
You just gotta watch your
There's
temperature.
people that heat their shower water by running
Greenhouse
water
hoses, yeah.
hoses or hoses through
Through the compost.
huge compost piles, spiraling through these huge compost
Yeah.
piles, and so the water heats up going through that.
I saw greenhouse designs with
Showers of
massive
power.
amounts on either end, and they do the summer heat out through there, and then they use it all in the fall. And they use it all winter. They maintain enough
Yeah.
thermal mass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heat all winter the greenhouse.
that's cool.
So if you're buying your first cow, besides choosing a good one, handling, good composition, etc., what would you recommend as far as the pregnancy status? Open, which means she's ready to be bred, or already bred with calf and open. So I would recommend, especially if you're beginner, buy first of all a cow. Buy from a place that has similar management to you. You want to do grain, you're a little more open, you have a little more options. If you want to do 100% grass fed, then you need to look for a place that you need to get them from 100% grass fed. It's so hard to transition them from conventional, especially if they've been bred to thrive in a conventional setting, to come and bring them and just expect them to thrive in a very natural setting. Get them bred, have had them. They need to be experienced mothers, at least have had already 1 calf. It's ideal that they're bred, that they have a calf, well, So Flossie, let's talk about Flossie. She's ideal because she's bred. She's had calves successfully. She's bred. That's probably the best situation for you. Now, not Flossie's temperament. I'm okay with Flossie because I've been around cows my whole life, and I'm up for the challenge. If it's your first time, if you guys were to go and get cows, do not get a Flossie. Get a Violet.
I was
But a
getting
Violet
their
that is
space.
in good condition and raised in the same management as you. So I even say not even with calf. Like maybe don't even get an Aunt Phyllis, because Aunt Phyllis is a cow that we have that has a calf. Because you bring a calf in, or a cow and a calf, and you've got to milk the first day. One, you're bringing a cow and calf into a place that they've never been. You don't have any experience. And then you got to milk tomorrow. That's a lot of stress on them. And you got to train them to a stanchion and milk them. And it's got to happen or they're going to lose milk. Unless she has a calf And that buys you some time because the calf can drink the milk, and that takes some pressure off of you.
True.
But if you get somebody like Flossie and she's dried up, they've weaned the calf off of her, you're not buying the calf, you got a couple of months to get her used to you, get her used to the stanchions. So that's what I vote for, is for you beginners. Could you run Cornish cross over other things than pasture, like wood chips or clover crops? Absolutely. I have no problem with that. If they're in the same place, you're going to want to keep adding carbon. As you pick up on a smell, as you start seeing cake of manure, you just want to keep on adding carbon to that. I've had people raise Cornish cross with chickens, regular chickens. It's good, because then a Cornish cross is fooled and it thinks it's a normal chicken and just runs around and it lives this wonderful life.
They learn how to.
It just
They learn how to forage.
they
with her.
scratch and peck, and
yeah.
they forget
I
they're
think
this
half of it
crazy
is-
hybrid.
I think half of it is they learn from the other chickens who are already there.
I think so.
We had a
I think they
question
do
on
good
that.
with regular chickens.
Just a quick question going back to the hot composting. So Chelsea was asking about possibly hot composting in a greenhouse system.
Yeah.
She has it with her chickens in the greenhouse.
It's great.
I assume it's not an active greenhouse at the moment. It's
Right.
a resting greenhouse.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're introducing
That's great.
bugs, disease, and you're going to screw up your plants. But if it's if it's resting,
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's just a greenhouse, go for it.
then you got time
It's going to
to
be warmer
eradicate
during the
any
day.
issues
You're going to
before you
keep that
plant.
pile as wet as you want it. You'll be adding the water, not nature, and hopefully you get the mixture right with the water in the first place, and you don't have to add any throughout it. And
If you had
the
plants
animals
that
are helping to
are-
keep it warm at night. You could some people might take it a step further and have the perches above the pile, so there's a continual supply of nitrogen onto the pile.
If you have, she has an aquaponics system in there as well. If you have chickens in there with aquaponics, I would assume they're going to start eating whatever you're growing in there. But if you have them separated somehow, I'm guessing, so that they're not in there eating your greens, then
Well, you gotta watch your fly and your larvae and the high heat from aquaponics. You better check with some good professionals on that. That system may break down
Yeah.
on you.
I don't know
I don't know as
anything
much
about how.
Yeah.
Aquaponics.
It's just hot, and you get aphids and things that in and out. And so I would check with somebody who's done it and really knows, because I think it's a difficult idea.
This is a fun question. Could you use whey to soak feed? Yes. Would that add a benefit? Yes. Maybe more nutrients? Yes. So it adds, if you soak, and I'm soaking in skim, so let's say skim or whey, you add nutrients, protein, and minerals.
And whey is already fermenting with natural whey.
And if it's natural whey, it's fermented.
It doesn't make
Or if
bugs.
you've like right now, we have plenty of scraps right now for our pigs, so we don't need grain. But we just did butter, so we have actually 4.5 gallons of skim sitting down there in covered buckets. We put
It's
grain
actually-
in it,
It's actually buttermilk.
and it's gonna ferment, and then we'll have that for soaking.
Yeah.
And I really don't worry. I mean, I've had skim sits out, and then it clabbers root out there on the porch for, like, I won't say forever, but
It's making yogurt basically.
and I feel like the pigs, the
Like-
weirder it gets for us, the more the pigs like it. That's why I love pigs so much.
Yeah.
Okay, we have speed up fermentation?
will the whey speed up?
Whey, yeah. Will whey speed up fermentation?
If it's natural whey and it's already fermenting,
Okay, what do you mean by
Culture.
natural whey?
So if you're making buttermilk or whatever, if you haven't cooked it or pasteurized it, it's already got a culture.
Yeah.
And if you made buttermilk and set out, it's got a lacto-ferment culture. So you've got it's a yogurt-based, culture-based. If you've cooked it and pasteurized it, now you're starting with blank slate, and you're gonna have
Yeah,
to whatever you reintroduce, good or bad, is gonna start
Okay,
growing in there.
thank you. Okay, in the context of putting hay down over your winter cover crop, does it matter too much if you know it's weed-free when you know it won't grow a ton and you'll be bringing the animals back through it anyway? That's a good point, and that's one reason I don't worry about it too much, but I am trying to get away from putting hay on it, because there is even I've got some really high quality hay. It's not. It was unsprayed. Well, it's hard to get one unsprayed hay, and then seed-free hay because most hay people are cutting for bulk. And I talked to a hay guy the other day, and a lot of cattlemen are actually using hay to reseed their pasture.
Yeah.
So-
I see that.
I think my problem with the seed and the hay, although the animals will come back through and till it,
Yeah.
it's harder. It's going to take them longer, and those seeds tend to be more perennial
Yeah.
versus annual, which is like a wheat, a cover crop. So
Yeah.
animals will till in a cover crop, or a machine, or mulch, whatever you end up doing. We'll work
Till
that
in.
in faster than a
You could,
straight up.
I mean, if you're out there all the time, you can chop and
Fescue.
drop it. I mean, you can chop and drop it and use it as mulch, but
Yeah,
you
how
have
big
to
your
be out
plot
there all the
is.
time.
Yeah.
You'd be fighting it all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't worry too much when grasses and things move into our garden because I chop and drop it.
We kind of stopped weeding.
We did stop weeding.
This year we learned to stop
Good.
weeding.
Yeah.
You just cut it and
You just
drop
cut
it right away.
and now
We
it's
either-
mulch.
Keep promoting what you like and making room for that and chopping what you don't
How's
like.
that working out for you?
It's less stressful, I'll give it that, if you don't worry
And you
about
don't
it.
disturb the soil so you don't reactivate
It's not as pretty,
seeds
right?
in the soil. Oh,
Yeah.
it's not as pretty. That's
It's not as pretty.
more
It's
functional.
more of a
Did you
jungle,
get as
jungle
much?
garden.
It's more, I like that, a jungle garden.
It is a jungle garden, but we also polyculture our gardens. We don't do the everything in rows.
Yeah.
We do a lot of mixes of different plants growing together, so it does look more like a jungle garden anyway. And you sometimes can outcompete weeds that way too.
Yeah.
So we do really bio-intensive polycultures, but we also eat a lot of our weeds.
Okay.
So we get
Yeah,
chickweed,
right.
we get
Edible
purslane,
You can
we
eat
get
most of it.
well, that's your salad. If you know what they are, about half of it's
Just eat the
salad
weeds,
bowl.
y'all. Just eat the weeds.
There's a channel named that.
Not ours.
Not ours.
How's the yogurt making going? Is it working well in the dehydrator? I thought maybe it was going right now. There is a
Jerky's in there.
Okay, we're doing your jerky. It's working great. So on the vlog, we took some milk straight from. We came in, we filtered the milk.
Okay.
It comes out of her at 100 degrees.
All right.
Now that milk had happened because it takes time to milk it. You saw that this morning.
So it cools a little bit.
It cooled. It cooled down to 85 by the time we put it in the dehydrator, but we set the dehydrator to 100 degrees. Okay. And before we would, and if you didn't have warm milk, you have to heat it up to 100 degrees on the stove, and then put it in your jars. Put a little bit of yogurt in there as a starter. Put it in the dehydrator. It worked great. 6 hours later, we had yogurt. It worked. That eliminated one step of heating things up on the stove.
Yeah.
Rebecca was doubtful, but it worked.
It worked.
Old style way to do it is buy a cheap heating pad for your back, turn it on low, and you wrap it around a gallon
Yep.
glass jar that's been sanitized. Backwash your yogurt into your milk product. You leave it overnight. By morning, you have natural
like it.
yogurt.
That's
you can
one
make
way.
a gallon or half gallon.
We've also put the warm light on in our oven and put it in there,
Okay.
Okay.
but and covered it. Oh yeah, and even the dehydrator we cover it. I don't know.
Yeah,
why I
you
used
want
to
it.
do
Well,
what
you've inoculated the culture, so you don't want to get
Anything
outside
else.
stuff. You've already given it the good stuff.
So this is. Did you get your vacuum sealer yet? And do you like it? Do you remember? I linked it. I linked the vacuum
It's an
sealer in the show
Excalibur.
notes. I need to put it here in the show description. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to do it. I guess when we
It's an
wrap up here.
Excalibur. I don't remember what model.
And I do like it. Did you
Yeah,
like
it worked
it?
well.
Did you approve it? It worked.
We went
It
through
bagged up all our beef.
200. Yeah, we
How
went
much?
to. What do you have? 500 pounds.
500
to 600
pounds.
pounds of beef. That, we had some bone and
Now
stuff.
that wasn't all ham. That was some of that was
Well, we
hamburger.
crowed or backpacked everything other than bone. So let's call it
Oh.
300 or 400 pounds.
There's 2 questions here, by the way, in the chat. One is, have you been able to start listening to Zig while milking?
Yes.
And 2, what do you mean by backwash? It's a technical term for what Justin was
So
explaining.
backwash is when you have a culture that you believe you like, such as yogurt or pickles or something, and you're making more of that. And so to speed up your process and to get the same bacteria, hopefully, you take a small amount, a teaspoon out of a tablespoon, you put it back into your fresh prepared brine or milk, and you let that start your culture. That's the traditional way of doing it, and it's a more sure way than letting it randomly show up. Unfortunately, the health department in a professional setting will tell you that's uncertain. You must buy a culture with every time, which
Yes.
gets expensive. So just know that
Restaurants
if
can't do
it
that.
goes bad
Yeah.
and you don't know it, you could be backwashing bad things. But what they don't tell you is typically if you're doing it right, the
You'll
good
get-
stuff outcompetes the bad
Yeah.
stuff. So it's pretty safe, but also understand the most safe way is to buy a culture every time or freeze down culture and then put a little bit in there.
Yeah.
So it's starting your inoculation. It's like getting
Yeah,
used
head
to bread.
starting is like
Same as
taking,
getting used to bread.
Yeah.
Instead of doing sourdough would be backwashing. Having dehydrated yeast from the fridge is an approved known culture.
All right. Hang in there with us, guys. We got about 5 more questions, about 15 more minutes, so we're gonna zip through these. Do you have any special washing cloths for your cows? Do you do any sanitary wash or just hot water? Any special soap of your standard detergent? I listed in the show notes what we don't. I mean, we basically wash the cloths on towel setting, so it's hot, and so it's sanitizing, and I guess it goes a little bit longer. We just use our regular eco-friendly soap for that, which happens to be, it's called Rock and Green. I've listed it in the show notes so you can see it spelled out. And then we use Oxo-Brite. So we put in a tablet of Oxo-Brite and this Rock and Green, and we haven't had a problem. Washes it really clean. I'll try to word this to make sense. Could you talk about your thought process when it comes to buying organic, natural, and chemical-free items for your animals and family, not just food, but supplies and animal treatment? Do you have a threshold, or is it not perfectly pure, you don't buy it? I find that cost and availability is a struggle for us, always feeling guilty and failure if we don't. So we started small when we start. You got to know it's a journey, and we basically replaced, when we chose to go organic, when we ran out of milk, we replaced it with organic milk. When we ran out, and then eventually everything was organic, even our herbs. Sometimes I think you have to decide what's the line for you and what's the journey for you and what's most important for you. I hope you don't feel guilty. I think that just shows that you have a heart and that you're trying to do the right thing. And so that's a good sign, but I hope you just say, I'm doing the best I can. Oh, one thing I hope that helps maybe through the guilt is the 1% rule. Have y'all heard the 1% rule? This is helping me with overwhelm in my farm. Like, I want it to be more streamlined and smooth operating and picked up. And it frustrates me because there's a lot of work to do and I don't have that much time, and money's not just growing on trees.
Right.
What do? 1%. Try to do 1% every day, 1% change. So make one thing go smoother. Like hook the chain up so that the door that swings open can actually chain to the stanchion, so there's a little bit of a path there.
Yeah.
We put a T-post in so that now we can put a legit gate up that Flossie can't jump over. But that happened over 2 different days.
Yeah.
So
a little bit at a time.
just the 1% rule. And then it feels like you're making progress, but it's not overwhelming. But I forget the math, but if you change 1% every day, it's not long before you've actually changed 100%.
You can do it in the
You
third of
double.
the year. Or,
Yeah.
you can,
There you go.
can
In a
change
third of the
3.5
year,
times.
You've doubled your
You can
productivity.
try and retry 3.5 times in a year if you've actually
Yeah.
changed.
So
300
if
Depending on how many projects
And-
you have going.
Yeah.
and then eventually you're going to be like us, and we bought these beefs. Why? We happened to buy these beefs from the same guy we bought the cows from, legit raising, and brought them in, harvested them the next day, and we're getting Beyond Organic grass-fed beef for $2.25 a pound.
Don't forget, your kitchen garden is going to be even better than any organic you buy out of the store. Your farmer's market, if you talk to the farmer and find out, because they can go from Beyond Organic to Beyond Chemical, if you ask them what they're doing, your farmer's market can be a way to get really clean organic or similar at a value. And then as a chef, we pick and choose. So maybe your milk's very important for you or your kids. Your thin-skinned things, your leafy greens, your fruit, your strawberries, you look up these lists. They're your high-profile things that get sprayed a lot. And your root vegetables that have coatings, pumpkins, things that grow on the ground, bananas, even if they get sprayed, most of the spray is on the outside, so that's your lowest priority if you
If you're taking
That's
one
right.
step at a time,
That's
yeah.
right.
And where that falls, that's up to you. You don't have to be all organic. You can be all natural. You can be all. You
Yeah.
figure out the balance.
And we've compromised where we'll eat out every once in a while, maybe once a month. And we still insist on non-GMO, where it may not be organic, but we still eat on the road. We insisted on, we'll go to social events, and we're those people. We have to bring our own food to most of it. Now, we have a lot of food sensitivities and stuff, so we have to go more extreme than maybe most, but just figure out your lines, be comfortable with drawing your own boundaries. Your families are going to give you hell, and you just got to do what's right for you.
We
Take
started
the
the
pressure
chef
off
community,
yourself.
Eat local Mondays. A
Yeah,
number of years ago was the push for you to eat a all local or all grown or all organic one day a week. It doesn't have to be Monday. And for restaurants, because that's a slow day, pick a one item or two item or a full appetizer, entree, dessert that you can serve on Monday that somebody can come in and know you're selling that. And they're like, just start with one day, one option. That's better than most restaurants have all week long. So,
okay. We could do a whole show on that question. That's a great
That's
question. How long do you, this is a quick question, how long do you find that raw milk lasts in your fridge? 2 weeks. How long does the milk process take every day? An hour and a half. That's getting up, getting the milking stuff ready. That's going down. That's going, getting the mama, bringing her in. That's cleaning her off. That's milking her. The milking process is the easy and fun part. That's the listen to Zig Ziglar or your audio book, or have your quiet time, whatever.
Yeah.
And visit with friends if they're there, or work with your children. And then you come back in, process that milk, and then you got to go put the animals back out. I mean, sometimes I'm like, we're committed to that, aren't you? Don't you think? It's like one chore is going to take you an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm not
That's why we
sure
don't
that
do it. It
includes
doesn't
moving
work.
them every day.
doesn't
But
work in
the
our
amount
life,
of
so.
food,
Yeah,
like
that's,
almost 2 gallons.
that's a lot
Like
of milk.
to put down we put down a bowl of butter tonight, and that was amazing.
That was almost 2 pounds, pound and a half.
Yeah.
of butter, 2 pounds.
But- And that's why you don't do it, and that's why some people do need to count that cost. And I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because it's an hour and a half, and so the problem with homesteading is you grow one thing successfully, then you want to do everything.
Take one step at a time.
Yep. And it's that concept of starting outside your door. Permaculture concept is just starting right outside your door. But what I tell people all the time, though, is it might not be literally outside your door. It might be your heart door. Like, what do you want or desire most? If you're a meat and potato person, you don't need to grow an herb garden right outside your door. You need to, if it's socially accessible, it's socially acceptable, put potato patch right here, chickens right here, flip flop them.
Yep.
And you got your meat and potatoes. If you have more room, get some beef.
Some carrots, some other stuff in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you gonna sneak in some
He's
carrots?
gonna sneak
The
in
chef's
carrots.
gonna get. He ain't gonna let you be a meat and potato person.
Well, you gotta
Okay.
roast it. You gotta make sauce. So you need
Okay.
carrots and celery too.
If I'm listen to him. If I'm feeding my chickens 100% on compost system, can the baby chicks just be put in that system as well, or they need the baby chickens feed a while? If so, when can I stop giving it to them? So if you feed them on 100%, okay, so if I were in that case and I had you got to have a legit compost system. When we were feeding our chickens 100% on compost, we were feeding some food scraps. In Carl Hammer's case, where he's feeding 600 chickens on food compost, lots of compost. You've got to make sure you have enough piles. With 24 chickens, I had 4 piles going. It was every week rotation that were 3 cubic yards each. And that was just going through a rotation through. And so that's enough for 24 chickens if you got a good food scrap source. At the time, we were going to a local co-op, and we were getting so much food. For chicks, though, I'm a little concerned with them as at young. I don't have enough experience to say. If you could, I've not done it. So I would do it where you provide a chicken crib. I did a video on it on YouTube where the chicks could get inside and get starter feed. I just don't like to mess around too much while they're growing. It's one thing to experiment with an adult chicken and gauge it by how they're, one thing you can do with adult chickens, if you're free ranging them, concerned you're not giving them enough, you give them feed and then you cut it back 10% every day, or not every day, but every week. You cut back their feed grain 10%, encourage them to get more from the land or from the compost if that's what you're doing. And then you can do that until it starts affecting egg production. You can do that until you go out at night and you feel for their crops and their crop's not full. Then they're not getting enough to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know how to check that on a check.
Not
I mean, I guess they have crops too,
Depends
but
on the age.
I don't know
They're
if it
tiny
works,
though.
all the
it
time,
works
I
right the
guess.
same. So
On the other hand, I do have, in our system, we have mamas always raising the chicks. We
Okay.
don't have any artificial
okay,
brooding system.
She really shows them around right away.
So
Okay.
we've built little like chick mobiles, basically.
Okay.
Tractors that are
Yeah.
smaller Salatin style in a
Yeah.
way, with one end having a coop and the rest forage, and they're protected with their mama. Mama's got the chicks out there on day one
See 1, 2,
foraging.
yeah, and
But
that's
they
how
do
they
get
are
the
in
feed.
nature. I mean, we
Yeah.
realized we didn't have grains 100 years ago. 100 years ago, we didn't have these grains.
It's not
Not this level.
Not this
No.
commercial grain. No.
Not where it's 100% of the chicken
We were out in
diet.
the field stuff. And
They were out in nature.
So with this chicken, and I say this partly because in a free range setting, and by the way, I would rate 6 chickens, 12 chickens per acre in a cold temperate climate, 100% on free range. When you say that? 12 chickens an acre. That's
On an acre,
very
that's a lot
generous.
big.
that's a lot of
That's a lot of-
room.
Yeah.
Okay. So six chickens half. I'm being very generous with it because things vary. What time of the season is, how much rain you had, and how literal is that? How much grass and bugs are on that? You just don't know. So you have to give it a big general rule.
Our
So
snowmelts
is
and
your
our bugs
compost-
come- Our birds come out in the snow in the winter, but obviously when you're snowpacked,
Yeah.
you got
You're
to
not
feed.
getting
You either got to
bugs.
kill
Yeah.
off or feed.
So just what if the compost, unless you're really experienced at it, your bigger chickens are more forgiving than little chicks. You could have stunted growth.
They may not be getting all the
Yeah.
minerals and nutrients that they need, and
And
a
that
lot
will
of
affect
chick
them.
feed. Yeah, the bone strength you get more.
If you don't
like
get good
issues.
feed or good egg, you're just wasting everybody's energy. Feed it everything you want
All
to
right.
do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer 2 more questions, and
I might
it's
have
gonna
to
take
take
about
off
a
now.
minute. And you mentioned in a video about adding some sort of supplement to I already answered that about the alfalfa. It'd kind of be weird to ferment that. It'd be hard to strain it, and it might not be as palatable. And then, okay, one last question. Cindy's got to go. I'll go. If you want to go to her channel, just go search YouTube
Part-time
for-
Burmese.
Part-Time Permies. I'm gonna go over there and
We're
say
running
I can't
across
do the whole
the
show, but I'll do
Yeah.
the first
Yeah, first
20
part.
minutes or
That's
so.
great.
First
Yeah.
20, 30 minutes. It's called Part-Time Permies
Part-Time
on
Permies.
YouTube. I would love to see you guys go over there and support them. They're a wealth of knowledge. You've heard it tonight. They're a fellow member. And
Talk about growing straight out your door. I still have one more video to put up on our greenhouse off our front porch.
all right.
So like a 4-part series on that one.
That's
3
going to
of
be
them are
amazing.
up.
That's textbook permaculture right there.
Yeah.
And if you guys ever want to be on the show, and if you're in Western North Carolina, I give my members priority access to us with the farm experience. So if you're ever in the area, just reach out via email. Come and experience the farm with us. If it happens to be on a Sunday, you can get on the show. But anyway, I would love to know how you organize all your food storage, chicken, lamb, beef. Do you have any tips for packaging, recording, and just generating?
Set up my
Well, it's a big question, but I have a quick answer. I have 4 freezers out there, 1 fridge, plus this. I've been joking with people. I'm like, you're a homesteader when you have 4 freezers in your unfinished room and one
One fridge there.
fridge.
We have
one
2
spare
big and 2
fridge.
small.
And they're full.
Ours are full.
Yours are
And
full.
we run a small business, and then our personal, small agriculture.
I think
Yep. Oh,
Ken
thank you.
just linked your channel.
Yep, thanks.
Let's see
Island
if he
Homestead.
did. Let's see if that's the channel or if
So
that was
you
something
guys
else.
are going to be able to sit there. We actually have to move
All right,
physically
that's it.
buildings,
Thank you, Ken.
so we're going to run across.
Okay,
the
we'll see
street.
you guys in. We see you then
10
for sure in
minutes.
10 minutes. Might take me 15 or so to
Yep.
get over there, but I'll
Yep.
try.
We'll see you
Okay,
guys.
good night, guys. I'm gonna update I'm gonna put the link to the show notes in the description. All right, we've had fun, guys. Thank you, and I love you. Thank you for the membership. It means a lot to us. Makes this all possible. So we really appreciate you guys.